Hey guys, welcome in, join in. I know this is a weird thing. I'm using a microphone. We're not used to this. So here we are. My dog is clearly heavy sighing. He doesn't want anything to do with this. We're starting a new series here on my TikTok. And the reason being is because I just enjoy hearing myself talk about anything and everything. And I like to gab. So we're starting a new series here. I do this a little bit every week on my podcast that I have with my 3 friends. It's called Truly Chaotic Podcast. If you're not fucking following it, go follow it. Don't be a fake fucking bitch. Streaming on all platforms, Truly Chaotic Podcast. But I will say there are certain things that I need to get off my chest that we're not talking about on the podcast. And I feel like I need to start a series here to talk about it. So I'm starting a new segment on here. It's going to be called Kelsey's Rose Tinted Tangents. Okay, I'm Kelsey Rose, and today we're going to be talking about tipping culture. And on the segment, don't get it confused. It's not all going to be about service industry. It's not all going to be about, whatever. I'm going to literally just get on here and rant sometimes. I think it's just going to be really therapeutic for me. And honestly, you might hate it. If you don't want this content, let me know. I'll stop doing it. Maybe I might not stop doing it. Let's be real. I'll probably still do it. But I think it'll be really therapeutic for me to just get it all out there and just go on a tangent sometimes. If you see my broken nail, no, you didn't. Mind your fucking business. Anyways, let's get into today's topic. Tipping culture. It's a hot one. It really is a hot one. I don't know why so many people, mostly men, which is weird, are in social media comments and just like making videos about it. They're going above and beyond about fighting the fucking tipping culture in America. And listen, I'm not some server that's been doing this 2 weeks. I've been in the service industry at least part-time since I was in high school, okay? Not my first fucking rodeo, right? I've been at multiple different restaurants that go through multiple different processes, all the things, right? And it's always so weird to me when people get on social media and brag about not tipping their server or their bartender or their service industry worker, because it's like, what are you looking to, like, aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you embarrassed? Aren't you embarrassed? Like, I'm so astounded sometimes that not only will people willingly not tip their server or not tip their bartender, but they're willing to go a step further and like broadcast it to the world that they're not tipping their server. And their argument is always, the biggest one I see is always, well, it's not my job to pay your bills. It's your employer's job to pay your bills. Like, I shouldn't have to tip you. Your employer should be paying you an hourly wage or a livable wage, whatever. I just know the minute that's their argument, I know for a fact they have never worked a day in the service industry in their entire life. And I'll go out on a limb and say, I think everyone in the entire world should have to work in the service industry at some point in their life. I think they need to understand what it's like to work in the service industry, the depth that you need to have to provide good service when you're in peak rush, 8 tables, flat sat, 6 parties of 6, all at the same time. And I just don't understand why people are like, they're bragging about not tipping their servers because they've never, well, I do understand because they've never been in it, right? So like, for those of you who don't know, maybe you guys are just uneducated. I'll educate you. Welcome to Kelsey's fucking service industry lesson. As a service industry worker, and I don't know if this is the same on all states in the US. I know in Massachusetts and I know in most states around New England it is like this. Maybe I've heard in California maybe they get a higher hourly wage than we do here. But we don't even get minimum wage hourly, right? Like we get, God, I don't even know. It's either $5.60 or $7.60. It's not minimum wage here. And that's what we get hourly, right? So by the time taxes are taken out of that, I don't get a weekly check for my hourly hours, right? I'm relying solely on tips, right? Like I don't get an hourly wage. A lot of people are very upset about this. They're like, I shouldn't have to like pay your bills. Like your employer should be paying your bills. Let me just break it down for you guys because, right, I'm one server. We have 2 bartenders and I have usually on a busy night, we have a food runner and we have a food busser. So that's 4 people that I, at the end of the night, have to tip out. So tip out is based on, and every restaurant's a little bit different, but you tip out a percentage of your sales or your whole tips that you've made to your bartenders and to your bussers and to your food runners. So let's say, for example, you sit down, you have alcohol, you have full meals, you have dessert, and you decide not to tip me at all. I'm essentially paying for you to eat out in that situation, right? Because regardless of if you tip me, I'm still tipping out the bartenders and the food runner and the food busser based on my sales and my tips. So you're like, by not tipping your server, and let me tell you this, you're not sticking it to the man, right? Like, you're not making this big stance. And I hate how people are like, that's their big thing. They're like, oh, well, I just think it's wrong. I think tipping culture is wrong. I just don't tip because I want to make a stance. And it's like, you're not. You're only hurting that server. You're not making this big stance to big corporations and big restaurants and even little restaurants. The owners are not looking at each individual fucking receipt, right? They're looking at the end of the day paperwork. They're looking at the sales of the restaurant. So you're not hurting the corporation and tipping culture, right? You're hurting that individual server who's just trying to make a living. And that's embarrassing. You don't have to like it. That's the thing. Like, you don't have to like it. I understand that tipping culture has gotten a little bit out of hand when it comes to takeout orders, or like at Starbucks they ask you to tip now, I think, or like, it's like, oh, do you want to leave a tip? And it's like, I came here, I drove out here, I picked up my food, like, you just packaged it. And to that I understand, like, okay, like maybe leave $1 or $2, whatever, you don't have to tip 20% on everything. But if you sit down for a service at the bar, or you sit down at a service at a restaurant, and your server is bringing you drinks and food and whatever you need, whatever your little fucking heart desires, and they're doing that and you're not tipping them, that's embarrassing. You could have just stayed home and made your own food in that situation, right? Or you could have gone to McDonald's. The drive-thru doesn't require a tip. You may not like tipping culture, but like, this is how it is in America. This is how it is. I just don't understand it. And I also think that people don't realize, like, if restaurants were to pay their servers and bartenders an hourly wage that is equivalent or higher than minimum wage, which, by the way, would have to be higher than minimum wage to be a livable wage in Boston with the cost of living. Half of the restaurants that you know and love would go under within months. They would not be able to afford to pay every single server, every single bartender, every single food runner, and every single food busser a high enough hourly wage for them to live off of, right? So this is how it is in America. Like, this is just how it is. And if they were able to do that, do you want to know what would happen to your food prices? And your drink prices that are already expensive, that you probably already are complaining about at my table about how expensive the fucking lobster is. They're going to skyrocket astronomically. I don't think you really have an idea of the scale of how much that's going to skyrocket. You don't have a clue because you never worked in the service industry. It's just so unfathomable to me that people will not only not tip, but then like brag about it on social media. It's crazy to me. What are you doing? Just stay home and cook your own fucking food then. You're going out for a service. You're receiving a service. Tip for it. This is how it is. You may not like it. You may not support it fully. I get it. Everyone has their own opinions on 20%, whatever. But if you're getting decent service, good service, and you're sitting down for that service and they're providing that for you, that's how it is in America. They rely on that tip. So you not doing that is not making, like, you're not fucking standing up to the corporations of restaurant industry and being like, we need to change this. You need to fucking pay your servers. Like, you're not doing that. It's not making a difference. You're only hurting that person. You're only hurting that individual person because you don't like tipping culture. It's like insane to me. I could never imagine not tipping my server or bartender. But that's because I've been in the service industry since I was in high school. So I get it. I over tip because I'm like, I know that this server has probably had 3 people who have stiffed her tonight. So I'm going to make up for at least one of them and tip her extra. I just don't get it. And I think that a lot of people, like, I went over to Ireland and I've been over to Portugal, where tipping is really not a thing over there. Definitely not to the extent of America. The service is just very different. Like, we're used to things boom, 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 boom. We're used to being able to, like, let me tell you, if I wasn't getting tipped and I was working off an hourly wage, half the shit that you want, you're not getting. Okay? I'm not going in the back and searching for the decaf espresso because you want one shot of espresso at 10 p.m. And I'm not putting back together the espresso machine after we've already broken it down at the end of the night just because you decided you wanted a coffee after dinner when the whole restaurant's empty except your table. I'm not making 17 modifications for you because the kitchen's going to be mad at me and I truly don't want to fucking deal with it. And since I'm not getting tipped, why should I? Your level of service is going to be exponentially minimized, okay? And a lot of people can't handle that, especially the ones who don't tip. Y'all would be the first ones to fucking complain about what kind of service you're getting if tipping culture wasn't a thing. I know exactly what kind of fucking person you are. You're the kind of person who orders 12 hot waters with lemon and sugar on the side to make your own fucking hot lemonade at the fucking table. Or you want to get something on the menu, but then make 17 modifications so that it's actually a completely different dish. Or you want to order your steak well done, but you want it pink in the middle. You want all these special things, but you're not willing to tip because it's not your job, right? I just think it's so embarrassing. It's like, if you're broke, just say that. I promise you, if tipping culture goes away, your broke ass is not getting me over. Like, you'll wait 15 minutes for a server to even show up at your table. Is that what you want in this country? Is that, like, everyone's always in a rush here? It's like, we don't have the same culture as Europe. They're very like, go with the flow, whatever. So I think it works better for them. Everyone here is in a rush. If tipping culture wasn't a thing, I'm in the back, like, scrolling my phone on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care enough. Servers will not care enough, especially the young ones. I'm 31, right? And so, like, I still think that I've been in the industry long enough where, like, I probably would still provide decent service even if tipping culture wasn't a thing. But these youngins, these, like, when I was like 18, 20, serving tables, are you kidding me? I'd be making TikToks in the back. You know what I mean? Like, you just wouldn't get the service that you want. And also, who's going to work the weekends? Because if I'm getting the same flat rate as someone who's working a Monday when it's not that busy and things are very slow and nice and steady, versus working a Sunday brunch after church that things are slam, everyone's very needy, I'm running around with my head chopped off like a chicken. Why would I want to work a Sunday if I'm making the same amount regardless? I'm not working for tips. No, that's not my availability. All restaurants will be closed Friday to fucking Monday. Like, be so for real. They wouldn't be able to find the staff. Anyways, this is my take on tipping culture, and I'm not going to argue with you brokies in my comments who come in here talking about tipping and not tipping and thinking you're fucking doing something. If you have a genuine argument, I'll maybe listen to you, but I'll have you back it up with showing me your experience in the service industry, because if you've never worked in the service industry, I don't want to fucking hear it. Anyways, thanks for listening to my first episode of Kelsey's Rose Tinted Tangents. And let me know if you guys want me to continue doing this. I'll talk about anything and everything. Leave topics in the comments. Let me know if you like this kind of content. I'll keep doing it. This will be about not only the service industry, although I'm happy to dive into a lot of shit in the service industry, but I'll talk about my life. I'll talk about hot takes. I'll talk about dating. I'll talk about all that. And then also make sure you follow our podcast, Truly Chaotic Podcast. It's this times 4, and we stream on all platforms. Love you. Bye.